Picture this. You climb out of a time machine 20,000 years in the past. You spot one of your distant ancestors crouched by a fire, and you walk right up and lean in close. Uncomfortably close. Conversation distance. Then you take one big, slow breath through your nose. What hits you? Come on, you're already imagining it. The unwashed funk. The sour reek of a body that has never once met a bar of soap. Breath bad enough to knock a small bird out of the sky. We've all just quietly decided that ancient humans were absolutely rancid, walking stink clouds wrapped in animal fur. But is that actually true? How bad did our ancestors really smell? Because the honest answer is way stranger than horrible, and it kicks off with a fact about your own body that almost everybody gets wrong. Ready? Sweat doesn't smell, not even a little. That sweat soaking through your shirt at the gym is, all by itself, basically odorless. The funk we call body odor isn't the sweat at all, it's bacteria. Millions of tiny microbes camped out on your skin, eating that sweat and pumping out the stink as a little thank you gift. No bacteria, no smell. So the real question isn't, how bad did ancient people smell? It's, how nasty were the bacteria throwing a rave in their armpits? And that came down to stuff you'd never guess, starting with dinner. Their food was nothing like ours. No processed sugar, no greasy drive-thru, no soda, but just meat, roots, plants, and whatever they could catch or dig out of the ground. And what you eat quietly rewrites the chemistry of your sweat, which changes what those bacteria build out of it. So, an ancient human wouldn't have smelled like a modern guy who skipped a couple showers. They'd have smelled like something else entirely. Earthier, smokier, more animal. Not necessarily worse. Just deeply, completely different from anything your nose has ever filed away. But here comes the twist that flips the whole question on its head. Even if they did stink to high heaven, would they have noticed? And the answer is no, almost certainly not. Your nose has a quiet superpower called habituation, and you've felt it 100 times. Walk into a room with a strong smell, and within minutes, it fades to nothing. Your brain literally deletes constant smells so it can stay alert for new ones. Now stretch that across an entire lifetime. Every single person around you smells exactly the same way you do. There is no fresh out of the shower person to compare yourself to, because that person will not be invented for another 19,000 years. The funk wasn't gross. The funk was just the air. It was neutral. It was normal. You can't be disgusted by a smell your brain stopped registering before you could walk. So if their own body odor barely even pinged, what actually reeked? Oh, plenty. Because the world around them was genuinely, spectacularly foul. And this is where it gets ugly. So stay with me. Start with smoke. Every human back then lived absolutely marinated in wood smoke. In their hair, their skin, their furs, soaked all the way through. Permanent. Now drop that smoky person into a settlement with zero plumbing. No toilets, no sewers, no garbage day. Human waste, animal waste, rotting food scraps, and the leftover corpse of whatever they ate yesterday. All just lying around in the general vicinity. And then, and this is real, in a lot of places they collected aged human pee and put it to work. They soaked animal hides in it to turn them into leather, because the ammonia did the job better than anything else they had. Some folks even used it to scrub their laundry. So picture the neighborhood tanning pit. Open vats of fermenting urine and worse, cooking in the afternoon sun for days on end. That smell did not politely fade into the background. That smell had a personality. That smell could end a marriage. And then there's the close-up problem. The breath. Remember, no toothbrushes here, no floss, no minty anything whatsoever. Teeth are quietly rotting in real time. Food is fermenting in the gaps. Gums are infected and swollen. We are talking about mouths that are essentially tiny, warm swamps. Up at conversation distance, the body odor might have been survivable. The breath? The breath was probably the actual war crime. You'd smell that one coming around the corner. Now, you might be thinking, okay, but did they ever actually wash? And yeah, they did. Way more than you'd assume. They just didn't have soap like we do, so they got creative. Rivers and lakes were the original bathtubs, and plenty of people rinsed off whenever they got the chance. Some scraped their skin clean with a smooth tool and a coat of oil, dragging the whole day's sweat, dirt, and dead skin right off in one greasy swipe. Others scrubbed down with sand, ash, or crushed plants that foamed up just enough to count. It wasn't a hot shower with 3 kinds of conditioner, but the idea that ancient humans never once tried to get clean is just flat out wrong. The instinct to not be disgusting is way, way older than plumbing. But here's what nobody tells you, and honestly, it might be my favorite part of this whole thing. Ancient humans cared. They fought back. The second people had 2 free minutes to think about something other than not dying, they started trying to smell better. They crushed fragrant flowers and herbs and rubbed the oil straight onto their skin. They burned sweet-smelling resins and woods on purpose, filling their homes with fragrant smoke. The original plug-in air freshener. They chewed aromatic leaves and bark to beat back the swamp breath. And get this, some of the most precious luxury goods in the entire ancient world weren't gold or jewels. They were perfumes and scented oils, hauled across staggering distances and guarded like treasure. Thousands of years ago, a human being could stand in a stinking world and decide, no, I would in fact like to smell like flowers. That's not a grunting caveman, that's you. Oh, and one more thing, because biology never plays fair, some humans are basically born odor-proof. There's a single tiny gene that decides whether your armpits crank out much smell at all, and people carrying one version of it barely stink no matter what they do. They could skip deodorant for a week and you genuinely never know. That gene has been quietly hitching a ride in humans for ages, which means somewhere out there, 20,000 years ago, in a world with no soap, no showers, and a tanning pit just downwind, there was almost certainly one smug ancestor who simply did not smell, and he had absolutely no idea how lucky he was. So, put it all together. How bad did ancient humans actually smell? Smoky, earthy, animal. Probably pretty intense by your pampered, body wash scented standards, and yet completely invisible to them because everyone marinated in the exact same funk, and their brains had long since stopped caring. The real horror show was the world around them, the smoke, the waste, the pee vats, the swamp breath, and through every bit of it, they were already inventing perfume to shove back against the stench. Here's the part that should genuinely get you, though. If you dropped one of them into your living room right now and let them take one deep breath of you, you'd be the freak who smelled wrong. All those artificial scents, the chemical clean laundry, the synthetic everything coating your skin and clothes, to a nose tuned to smoke and earth and warm skin, you would smell bizarre. Fake. Honestly, a little alarming. Because bad was never really about the smell itself. It was about what your nose was trained to expect. And for almost the entire human story, the smell of a warm body, wood smoke, and bare earth wasn't the smell of being filthy. It was just the smell of being alive and the smell of being home.